So today we are continuing our conversation about the buy, borrow, die strategy. And specifically in this video, I'm going to help you avoid the 3 buy, borrow, die catastrophic failure scenarios when it comes to Bitcoin and show you how having a 0.21 Bitcoin buffer can actually protect you. So the TLDR as a review of the buy, borrow, die strategy as it applies to Bitcoin, it originally was applied to the real estate market. You're accumulating Bitcoin with cash. You're borrowing against that Bitcoin. You're using Bitcoin as collateral for a low interest loan. And then the die basis is that it steps up at death and your heirs can sell the asset tax-free, just like with the real estate version of it. So the failure scenario number 1 is that the collateral value or the Bitcoin value collapses. I've gotten a lot of feedback and a lot of questions from you guys about this. So the trigger in this scenario is the Bitcoin price drops below the lender's loan to value limit. Okay, so typically you're doing a 50% loan to value. And if that loan to value gets to 80%, then the lender is going to liquidate you on that. So the result is a margin call and a possible automatic liquidation. Now, some lenders, I believe Firefish, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, which I know you guys will, I believe they give you the option of adding more liquidity to your position. So a few ways to, just mitigate this as a risk is to always keep, greater than or equal to 0.21 Bitcoin above the loan to value floor. Okay, so you always want to have, the theme of this video is plan and have reserves in place for catastrophic events. And I want to show you exactly how to avoid catastrophic events altogether. So for example, if you did a 40% loan to value of $40,000 against one whole Bitcoin, assuming Bitcoin is $100,000, you would want to maintain at least 1.21 Bitcoin in reserve, just in case there was some kind of catastrophic failure. Now, also the lower your loan to value, the more buffer you're going to have and the safer your Bitcoin-backed loan is going to be. By the way, if we're just meeting, I'm Brad. I'm on a mission to empower millennials and Gen X to integrate Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances so they can reach financial independence in 10 years or less. I will say that for the vast majority of my audience, those of you guys that are just casual viewers especially, are probably in the capital growth phase of your investing strategy. So you have the capital growth phase and the income generation phase. So this buy, borrow, die strategy is probably not going to be good for most of you guys right now because you're still in the capital growth phase. So you're focusing on increasing your net worth, you're growing your overall nest egg, you're harnessing Bitcoin's compound annual growth rate. And then when you move into the income generation, income generation phase, maybe you've reached financial independence or some modicum of financial independence, then you're going to want to focus on generating income. So typically you want to have a pretty good size, pretty good pile of Bitcoin in US dollar terms before you want to even consider the buy, borrow, die strategy. But that said, failure scenario number 2 is where there's a counterparty or custodian default. Okay, so you have lender and you have custodian. Those are typically 2 different entities in my current understanding. So maybe the custodian gets hacked, or there's a bankruptcy, or there's a seizure. So the borrower loses access to the pledged BTC. The result is that the loan contract forces immediate repayment because the security is gone. Now, this is a really nightmarish situation, but it could happen. I mean, we talk about in this space, not your keys, not your coins. So I want to really just kind of show you guys like some of the potentially bad scenarios that you could go through with this. So the mitigation here again is to keep the 0.21 Bitcoin buffer in a self-custody hardware wallet. So if you do need to add liquidity to that, you've got that immediately available. Another option, I haven't seen this with any lenders. If you guys know of any, let me know, but split the main collateral across multiple insured custodians. So you're breaking up the custodianship not just from one single point of failure, but maybe you're spreading that out over a couple or a few. Hold a cash or stablecoin reserve for at least 6 months worth of the payments. So again, these are all just, the catastrophic scenarios and just some ways that you can sort of mitigate them. And then failure scenario number 3 is that there's an interest rate or a funding shock. Now, I haven't seen this one yet, but I've heard that in the future, as this space develops, there will probably be variable interest rate loans, which I wouldn't touch those with a 10-foot pole. But, this is something that could potentially happen in the future and I think is worth talking about. So your loan is tied to a variable benchmark, like the SOFR plus spread, and that benchmark jumps. So in other words, the interest rate jumps. The result is that your monthly payment amount rises sharply, and if you don't have extra cash, you may be forced to liquidate the Bitcoin at a lower price to cover the higher payment. The mitigation safety zone here again is preemptive conversion. When a rate hike is announced, instantly swap that 0.21 Bitcoin buffer into a stable coin like USDC or USDT, and then use the stablecoin reserve to pay the increased loan installments, keeping the primary Bitcoin collateral untouched and protecting you from having to liquidate during a market dip. So those are the three scenarios. By the way, YouTube tells me that only about 16% of you guys that watch my videos are actually subscribed. So if this content is valuable to you, I'd appreciate if you like, share, subscribe. It does help out the educational mission. Morgan Housel has a great quote around all of this. Many bets fail not because they were wrong, but because they were mostly right in a situation requiring things to be exactly right. So everything that we're going to talk about on this channel is really helping you to make sure that you've got all of your liquidity options set up and that you're doing if you are executing these strategies, that you're doing them with a high degree of safety. So one of these safety sort of zones that I just saw an interview with Mark Moss on the Simply Bitcoin podcast on Friday. And he has this concept that I really like called 4 layers of liquidity applied to the 0.21 BTC safety zone that we're talking about in this video. So, and I think this holds true. This should hold true for your entire investment portfolio. So you want to have 4 layers of liquidity. You want to have immediate cash or stablecoin reserve covering the 3 months worth of loan payments. I would say also that you can kind of think of that, extrapolate that out into your broader personal finances to having 3 to 6 months to a year's worth of living expenses, not necessarily in cash, but maybe in cash equivalents. And then you want to have, layer number 2 would be near cash. So that's going to be money markets, maybe Stretch as an example of that. 0.21 Bitcoin kept in a hot wallet, things that you can access within minutes, things that you can get access to almost instantaneously. Then you've got your medium-term liquidity, and this is going to be diversified assets. This could be index funds, bonds, a HELOC, liquidatable within 30 days or less, right? So, and then you got your long-term safety net. This is going to be land, real estate, irrevocable trust, plus term and life insurance size to cover any remaining loan balance. So again, these are, approaching all of this with a lot of diligence and a lot of forethought is going to keep you, first of all, should keep you, especially if you're keeping your loan to value down, it should be keeping you out of any kind of danger zone to begin with. A plan is only useful if it can survive reality, and a future filled with unknowns is everyone's reality. So it just kind of buttresses the point. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? What are your concerns about this buy, borrow, die strategy? You guys have been excellent and very gracious in offering your questions, comments, even some smart remarks. Have you considered any of these 3 that I've talked about? Have you heard anyone else talking about them? And which ones have I left out? I'm sure that there's something that I'm missing. And so I want for us as a community to sort of come together around these things, these issues, and really help prepare one another for the development of this part of the ecosystem, because I think this is something that's here to stay, and it will become the interest rates on the loans will continue to go down, and this will become a much more viable option for buy, borrow, die as the space develops. So here's a little checklist, just sort of in summary, the action checklist to build your safety zone. Always calculate the loan to value, determine the total value that you need for the loan, and then just add a 0.21 or more buffer on top of that amount, and maybe keep it separate in a hot wallet or even a cold wallet. Maintain a cash/stablecoin buffer for at least 6 months of payments. Split custody, primary collateral on an insured exchange, and buffer in self-custody. And I think the overall thing that I've repeated a couple of times is just have a multi-tiered game plan for if and when things do go sideways. Hopefully they will not, but it's good to go into these things with your eyes wide open. Always, anytime you're giving up custody of your Bitcoin, you're giving up custody of your Bitcoin, not your keys, not your coins. So And again, just remember that if you are, I see a lot of comments, a lot of you guys are like, hey, I have 0.21 Bitcoin. I'm thinking about doing this. In my opinion, I would say that you're still in the capital growth phase. You want to, some of the litmus tests would be like, have I held my Bitcoin for at least 4 to 5 years? So I would say most of you guys are probably still in the capital growth phase. Focus on growing your net worth, focus on getting as much Bitcoin as you can. And then at some point when you've reached an appreciable size of a Bitcoin stack, then you'll be in that income generation phase. And then doing this buy, borrow, die strategy using Bitcoin-backed loans could be a fantastic nuclear reactor for income generation. Wanted to also remind you guys, I have a 3-sentence micro newsletter aimed at millennials and Gen X trying to incorporate Bitcoin into their personal finances so they can reach financial independence in 10 years or less. It's 3 sentences, a couple or a few times a week. It's all actionable content, zero fluff. Link is in the video description below for that. We do a live stream every Thursday. We talk about, general personal finance, financial independence, retire early strategies, using Bitcoin as your high yield savings account and self-custody, and some of these adjacent assets, and obviously the buy, borrow, die strategy as well. Some of our latest experiments into BCI and Stretch. And then I always open it up for Q&A. And by the way, if you have questions that you want me to cover, if you leave them in the video description below or show up live, I'll make sure that I answer all your questions. Next steps for most of our audience that are trying to incorporate Bitcoin more deeply into their personal finances is to sign up for a free Fold or Gemini Bitcoin or Gemini Bitcoin MasterCard. The links are in the video description below. You're basically starting to earn a free Bitcoin for stuff that you're already spending money on. And then if you have a question or you want a second set of eyeballs, my 30-minute calls are super, super reasonable, and I would love to sit kneecap to you or with you or screen to screen and help you work through. All right, see you tomorrow. Okay, since you made it this far in the video, I wanted to offer 2 resources that will help you integrate Bitcoin more deeply into your personal finances. Number 1, Gemini's Orange Bitcoin MasterCard. You can earn up to 4% Bitcoin on everyday purchases like gas, dining, groceries, retail purchases. There's no annual fee, no foreign transaction fees, and no exchange fees on any of your rewards. Plus, if you sign up today using my link in the video description below, you get $200 in Bitcoin when you spend $3,000 in your first 90 days. The link is in the description and the comments below. Number 2, I'm also offering one-to-one calls to answer questions and to help you integrate Bitcoin into your personal finances more deeply, including traditional FIRE and Bitcoin planning, as well as Bitcoin self-custody. Link is in the video description below for that.